Welcome, everybody. It's Julie Dara Roberts and Merissa Indigo, and we're here with our Coast to Coast Gridworkers chat. One of my most fun points of the month. I love talking to you, Merissa, and it's fun to code exchange with you and to talk grid work. So it's March 30th, 2021, for anyone who cares about linearity and where we are in the moment, but we are at the end of March, and we're here to chat about what's happening. And so one of the things we set this exchange, because we were doing this kind of privately, like through texts and messenger and phone calls, and we're like, oh, we had all these great cross-coding grid working things that were happening, because I'm in Massachusetts on the East Coast of North America, and Marissa's in California on the West Coast of North America. And we work grid work in different ways that's complementary, but we also, there's a lot of things that we can help code exchange that we can help across our continent. And anyone who's grid working with or on North America is probably pretty tuned into the fact of the freedom code eruption that's happening in North America right now. And I've definitely been on that for many years. And one of the things that I grid work and gatekeep with are the equinoxes. Yes, I do the equinoxes, but I meant to say eclipses, the other E word. So in August 2017, we had a total solar eclipse that came from like the coast of Oregon. I'm doing it like I'm Italian. You're Italian too, right? Marcella?
Yeah.
We talk with our hands, but I'm off screen. So that came across from the northwest quadrant of North America down to the southeast coast. And then in April 2024, we have another one coming from, hi, kitty, from Mexico area up through, and they go across and make a cross pattern. So how they work is like wings of the doves of freedom with two, that central line. I've been working on a lot this year and last year of like grid working with the central line. But when we were picking what we should talk about today, we thought we should talk about some of the active ways that Merissa and I are teaming up right now to do some more of this cross coding. So some might say that the California coast and the Pacific codes carry more of a Lemurian codex, and the Atlantic coast, where I am, and the Atlantic Ocean carry some more of that Atlantis coding. And there is a way that the Atlantis energy and the Lemurian energy are coming together and merging together as one. And to me, I see it as part of this grand eclipse. Cycles are assisting with that. And there's a lot with the storms that roll through, with the weather fronts, with earthquakes and volcano activity and eruptions and different things. And Merissa and I were on the phone last week. I don't know, it's all linearly, whatever. We were chatting and supporting each other like we do. And she said that she was manifesting an Andara that looked like new earth, looked like the earth. She's like, I can kind of see it. It's green and it's blue and has all these new earth codes. And one of my pieces, who has sat in a grid that I connect with Lemuria very strongly in my water realm there. And it just like kind of popped up and was like, me, she's talking about me. I have to go to Merissa. And I was like, oh, okay. As we're going to dive right in with this topic. So I was like, interesting, because so this piece I bought from our mutual friend Dana at Elemental Ascensions. I'll give her a shout out. Yeah, and it's very much a new earth piece. And it's been with me for a couple years. And I've used it here and there. And it's lovely and it's super powerful, but it's not one of my like go-to friends. And that's true. I think the more, and maybe we can back up and talk about what Andaras are and what they do a little bit too, but we're assuming that people who are listening to this know what we're talking about, right? That'll be another show some other time where we'll deconstruct the use of them. But this piece has all kinds of codes. And I thought how fun it would be for me to take it, because it's been with me to the ocean here, and send it over to her. But the piece itself just started clearly telling me that it needed to go hang out with Merissa for a bit to do what she wanted to do. Like she could go searching for that, but it was there. So I had my it was a very short amount of deconstructing like my attachments to like, really? I'm going to send this like prized possession to my friend. I'm like, yeah,
Thank you
here I
so
am.
much. Thank you.
That's how we code. That's how we
Yeah.
flow, right?
Yeah.
And so she brought it with her to our, well, you know, on her station today, but we're feeling both of us that kind of cross coding is not going to be unique to her and I, but to people that are listening to this. So like, we thought we'd bring up that conversation today, right? To discuss
Yeah.
that
Mhm.
quality of code exchange where we share pieces and sacred bits with each other.
I want to show this. Hopefully it'll show up because the
Yeah.
green screen. So I'm just
So
gonna.
it told me that it wanted to go play with her and she had to take it to the Pacific Ocean, or, you know, no pressure to get to the ocean, but to take it with her.
Oh, we're going. We are so going.
You don't need pressure to go to the ocean, do you? Um, and for it to
No.
cope with all the West Coast sand particles and ocean particles and whatnots. And then at some point when she feels like it's done doing its work out there, she'll send it back over here and we'll have that. So it's just like a tangible way of us cross coding.
So cool.
But then it's fun when you find the Undara that you're supposed to be teaming with to do the particular grid keeping activation, or we're kind of moving out of that term of mission, right? Because mission feels more like I'm sent out on it. It's like more like whatever, I want to frolic in the forest or frolic by the seaside, and whatever teammates want to come play with me.
Yeah.
They make themselves known, right? And this one was like on my shelf, was like, me, send me to her now.
I'm so excited. Thank you so much, Julie. It's just such an honor. And so this beautiful Andara and some others that she sent me from her wonderful store just came last night. I know it keeps blending into the green screen. It's being
Kind of cool actually, because it's so green, right?
yeah,
It actually looks like more for me, the Andara's work is like a doorway
yeah.
to interact with different dimensions. That's one of their facets. So with your green screen, it's like you can see the doors in it.
Ah, good point. That's really cool. Yeah, and I just wanted to show you all this photo behind me here is a site, sacred site on some land here. So there's a very wonderful Native American tribe that I feel to be very Lemurian in origin, the Shumash people. So this is actually where I do a lot of grid work. This is a stargate. If I move, you can see the stones there. And when you go and stand there, there's a total portal that happens here between the stones. It's really cool. So we have quite a few formations here where the stones are parallel like that, which I think is, it's an interdimensional gateway. So I do a lot of grid work here at this site, with the Andaras, and it's very interesting what happens. It gets really still, really cool. Another thing I wanted to share, which was so delightful about this whole process, was so I have an elder friend, Audrey. She's one of my beautiful tribes women, and she was when I was sharing my excitement with her about receiving these Andaras in the mail, coming from the East Coast, she was like, oh my gosh, it's lighting up the whole country as it goes through. And I thought, wow, so what another interesting way to do grid work through parcels, as it's you think about all the hands it's touched, all the facilities it's been in, all the linear processes that it's graced, in its transit. It's like that's pretty badass. So just wanted to share how exciting that is and just how fun that is. And yeah, so pictures to come working with this. I hope to get to the land today, if I feel up to it, working with this awesome piece here. I just want to like put it on my head, but it's kind of big, so maybe that'll be another thing. Maybe we need to come up with like a headpiece that like holds these in place, like a transistor station thing, like some Tesla thing.
I have several pictures of me in the field balancing those on my head.
Okay. Just like, oh, they want to go there.
Take that it's that same like leap of faith or trust of like, it's not going to fall and break into a million pieces, and if it does, it's part of the coding anyway, right. Too. But that like you get like in, like you're a circus tightrope performer. Yeah, you're in the zone.
Beautiful. Well, if it's okay, can I talk a little bit about just this month, just to sum it up? Sure. Just a little bit. So we finally, it worked out today to come together on what is the fourth 333 of this month, which is pretty exciting. And just definitely feeling a wrap up of very powerful, just so much code, so much energy coming through. And it's kind of interesting. You brought in the Lemurian, and Atlantean coastal connection and that crossover, because for me in the beginning of March with the Palladian and Mars conjunction thing, that's what it was all about, was this, higher evolved human society coming forth. It's like heart-based, but it's like super integrated and unified. And so here we are doing that, like, in the flesh with the Andaras, which is so cool. And I just wanted to just offer some support out there. If anyone isn't feeling well physically, the magnetosphere is going through a lot. And I've been down and out, I would say the majority of this month, integrating, receiving intel, and just having to be really slow in my movements. So if you're feeling kind of low on energy, my Ayurveda would come in and just say, slow your thoughts, slow your speech, just slow your output of energy in every way, so that you can just kind of integrate, because the pole shift is full on with the magnetosphere thinning out. So I just wanted to offer that. If anyone has just felt really exhausted this month, I have, it's just part of the integration, and just enjoy it as best as you can, and just receive and have patience. um, yeah, just to offer that, because I know it can be frustrating if you're down for an extended amount of time like I was, and I'm so excited to create and I get frustrated. So just wanted to offer that, just surrendering into the process, because there's a lot happening cellularly here.
So can I ask, so have you been experiencing pole shifting? Because that hasn't, it's different than what I'm experiencing. So when you say
For
that,
me,
what does that have to do with?
for me, I feel like there's like an unzipping happening. Like, these are the visuals I'm getting. So for me, the pole shift is, the magnetosphere is thin, meaning that more light is coming in. And I'm having this experience of cellular rewriting, where I have these visuals of, like, the cells are getting unzipped and light is coming in and scooping out old stuff. And then they're getting like almost stitched back together, but they're an entirely new cell. And so for me, that's what I'm experiencing right now of the pole shift, is that the magnetics are coming in and balancing everything into more light. It's interesting. Yeah. And it's exhausting. And then like the gamma rays, like a lot of nausea. So there's a lot of, I feel, a cellular detox going on, like a purge going on, which has been my experience right now, the pole shift, as we're, shifting into more light.
Can I unpack that a little bit for my, like,
Yeah.
how I see it
Yeah.
myself or
I'd love
for other
to.
people? Because
Hmm.
um, I respect that that's what you call a pole shift, but I also know that a lot of people think about the pole shift as either a north and south pole
Hmm.
flip,
Yeah.
or the magnetic north pole of the earth moving its location.
Hmm.
So what you just described has been like on full throttle for me the last many weeks,
Yeah.
but I wouldn't use the terminology of pole shift for it. Just for myself, like I've been working it through um, for sure with the same magnetics, but with the equinox cracks, like what you just described is like how I see those, what they call equinox cracks, right? So at the equinox, the earth, the way it's tipped on its axis in relation to the sun, the north pole, the incoming solar energy and the earth grid like create this like south pole or north pole like place where they cancel each other out,
Hmm.
and then it quite literally creates a crack or an opening. And one of the articles, I was thinking of you, that I read about this, they said that one of the openings this year was, or was maybe last year, was as big as California. So
Yeah.
these equinox cracks in the magnetosphere are that thing you talk about is the unzipping, is they unzip, they open literally. And then they're this place where all this solar wind, all this plasma energy, all these codes, all this stuff comes pouring in,
Hmm.
and it's like the light coming in, and then they do just like you described, like kind of close back up when that particular alignment shifts away, and that's what makes the aurora borealis, the
Right.
northern lights. And like we have been getting like a northern lights for ourselves, and people sometimes experience it as eye stuff, pineal stuff, headachy stuff, eye strainy stuff. I just have to lay down, close my eyes, and be in darkness stuff.
Yep.
Like that, when you were talking about the physical body, it's like it can
Yeah.
have and when your pineal gland gets turned on and a heavy dose of this kind of light that we just described will
Mhm.
activate your pineal and help it to detoxify and decalcify, do all, and then so that process of the old stuff flowing out is, I think, what causes the physical body to need to purge or to upgrade or to rest deeply or to hydrate. And
Mhm.
you said something that like really pinged another thing for me. So I do a lot of work with sacred sites, some of them here that I can go to in person, but many I work more remotely with all around the globe. But in particular, the corridor of from Arkansas up to where I am, that whole Mississippi Valley, Ohio Valley, up through New York, Pennsylvania, up to here in Massachusetts. But there's a collective, and I noticed it here palpably, but that like goo, like what you've been experiencing in your human body, we've been seeing as grid workers from a big picture view of the earth too, right? Like the sacred sites, the stone chambers, the alignment sites, they have had this like gooey stuff come like the, the like in the Lord of the Rings
Yeah.
would be Balrog, like the deep in the earth goo has
Mhm.
really come up. And in the human field, the human magnetic field, it's with our emotions and our hearts, and like people have just had this like old, deep, gooey, primal ooze
Mhm.
come up. And
So I want to clarify that a little bit. So what I was talking about with the pole shift from an Earth standpoint, yeah, that's what's happening is, or some people linearly define that as like, yeah, the poles are shifting, like, oh, the North poles are moving. But so what I'm talking about is what happens to our body with that, because there is a pole shift in the body. And I love what you brought up, the goo, because that's what I tell people is it's like we're getting unzipped, or however you want to say it, through this thinned magnetosphere, because more photonic light can come in with a thinned magnetosphere to cellular levels. That's what I'm describing here. And it's scooping out the black goo, which was holding 3D in place through our bodies, through our mind, like the embodiment, right? Like you say, emotions, thoughts, programming, all the old ancient cellular stuff like that we have to clear, like, ancestral clearing. So the pole shift is happening right everywhere at the same time through different emanations, but the pole shift for the human experience for me is from 3 to 5D, right? As we're like letting the goop come out. So hopefully that clarifies, because for me, it's a pole shift. The pole shift is happening to the physical body of the earth and our physical body too. So I hope that clarifies a little bit more the effects of what's happening. Yeah, I hope so. The pole shift. Feeling it.
the pole, the magnetic,
Mm-hmm.
we'll call it the magnetic pole drift,
Mm-hmm.
use a different term, like that for me is actually, it had been moving kind of fast, I think in 2019, 2020.
Yeah.
That's why I sort of asked you to clarify the pole. It's actually kind of locked in. It's slowing down a lot as I experiencing it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, if you look at the human skull as a mappage of the planet, right? So if we look at pretend my skull is a globe,
Okay.
right? So this is the North Pole.
Okay.
And the drift that's been happening of where magnetic north is on our planet has kind of moved down. It was like down by Alaska, and then it's like kind of come back up. But right now it's, so on the human form, the fontanelle, or the crown chakra, the soft spot that when a baby's born,
Mm-hmm.
which some call the aperture of God or the soul portal, source portal. Um, I had this cool thing of like when I was reading some science, something about that, the drift of the magnetic north. I was like, oh, it's back to that. It's like back to the soft spot of Mother Earth or planet Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Just like, and then for us too, it's like back to the central point. And then I feel like it's gonna hang here. Or to me, it's like it's stabilizing in that spot, sort of like locked in for a bit. And
Yeah.
it will start to move again. But that's like a whole different, separate from the phenomenon we talked about the cracks and the thinning magnetosphere. But that the drift is like cool. It's like aligning us to true north, which
Yeah.
from a
Love
human
it.
point of view, it's like it calls out your soul purpose. It's
Mm-hmm.
like when you're where is your compass point? What is
Yeah.
what's your soul alignment for
Yeah.
this now?
So good. I agree. And it's cool because then that brings in the stabilization. So we've had these like a little bit of wobbly, And then what does it do? It shakes everything up, you know, and then the old purges, and then we kind of stabilize in this new foundation of being that's on point, like you say, aligned with the north, the true north, which I love. I love those words so much. It's so awesome. And I feel like, isn't that, like, I was going to say, like, that's setting us up for this is my what I'm feeling is, so we have all of this, you know, almost like you're shaking a jar of oil and water and then watching them separate and watching what settles and what leaves and all of that. Um, and that's been all of March. And then we have the equinox come in, which is like, okay, equilibrium, equanimity, like where is everything equanimous or not? And again, more sifting. And then we have now coming the resurrection. That's what I'm getting, is resurrection codes, like the 4/4, you know, Easter, angelics, birth of Gaia again with Istara, you know. Yeah, so it's so cool to me, like how it's funny because the whole thing is non-linear, but then when you look from behind, like you see the linear transgression of how they kind of build upon one another so we can keep going. It's so cool. So anyway, I just wanted to share that. It's so cool.
That is so cool. And I have one advice piece to the grid workers who are listening to this, and what to do with the black goo. Some of us have been
Yeah, great. Yes, please. That's
that
great.
it because the training a lot of us got was about like engaging with, or like poking the bear, or like going into sites and like cleaning them and like doing that work. That's like, we've transcended that, and we're fully in the creation of the light, being builders and architects of light, building on. So I see us as crystalline grid keepers and crystalline grid workers. It's like we'll go in and we'll be building with light, and we'll be creating, whether it's in like a place like you're talking about, like a certain spot that's like a Stargate system, or some things are larger, even like cities of light over human cities,
Yeah.
and doing all this other work. It's like we're in these upper realms working with coding the light. And it's really important. My advice is to just allow the goo to like drain and
Yeah.
dissolve. And
It just
I'll
dissolves
give
away.
full credit. I
Yeah.
know you were at the Sandra Walter webinar and you follow her work like I do.
Mhm.
So this is like one of her advice pieces that for many years now has been like, yes, that. Because I was sort of trained and like sort of raised in grid working systems that were more about dismantling and engaging with the others, the lower stuff. It's like, it's so free of all of us, I think, or like now we're like, oh, that time's passed.
Yeah.
We've moved on from that. And it's like, we really have to, in our own, and we do it through our own field, right? Through your own human stuff. It's like, oh, when I have these emotions come up, like, how do we hold space for them in loving kindness and allow the full effect of it, but knowing that we're just approaching it from a higher dimension and a higher level, and in our full creatorship and buildership, and just allowing the old to fall away.
That's such an important point, and I'm really glad you brought that up, because for me, it's second nature to just know, like, well, I've witnessed it, and that's it. It's going to dissolve. The higher light is coming in and taking care of it, and it almost is like, it's almost like I just see it dissolve away, you know, as it gets integrated into the higher light. So I'm really glad you said that.
I think all of us in March had a thing that maybe we thought, like, we had a thing like test, for lack of a better word, like our metal, if we were going to work with that way or not. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, here's some deep, old, super deep goo. How are you going to perform this time around?
Yeah,
And we
beautiful.
can all give our legs a pat on the back, like,
Yeah.
oh, we held it with light. Like I can say for myself, like it was like a, not even tempt. It was just like a, oh, it's back in your face. It's like,
Yeah.
all right, in that moment, like what's your choice point? This is your choice point, and what's your choice?
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah,
to be
beautiful.
playful and to move forward with effervescence. That's the
Yeah.
word that keeps coming, like that
Oh,
effervescent.
I love that. That's a beautiful image. Beautiful. Well, and I wanted to share with people too, just to remind everybody in this journey, when you have your own stuff come up through your own cells, because it's all the same. It's all the levels are doing the same thing. And just this image, I love this image of the Buddha when he was under the tree, under the Bodhi tree, right before he got his enlightenment. He had a huge initiation where first demons came to try to interrupt his focus, his meditation. And you could look at that as a metaphor for our life and our focus on the light, and, you know, being authentic and being here now and being just just crystal clear, crystalline clarity. So first the demons come and try to scare him, and they're scary looking, and he's like, I know it's an illusion. He lets them come up and then they just go away. And then beautiful goddesses come to seduce him and try to, so, the ego tries to come in another way to deter, to distract with illusion. And he's like, no, he's just witnessing all of it, just like, no thanks, very like neutral about it. And then, got his focus at the end, which was the meditation guided him into self-realization or the unity consciousness. And so I always like to just bring that up again, because sometimes, when we're faced with a fear program or whatever, any of the lack stuff, any of the separation, it can feel really real in the moment. And if in a way it is, but not to give your power over it. And just like you said, like, I really like to throw myself in, throw yourself into the deep end of the experience of feeling it and witnessing where it came from and all of that, with love, but then knowing that this too shall pass, right? So just important, because these are the things that the portals, like Lisa talks about, like Lisa Brown, fear is a portal, so once you're ready to go through it to the other side, it's just exquisite on the other side. And so I like to share that story because it's an ancient story. We know it, and that's how all the masters get to where they are. Is just keep going. It becomes intense. It's okay.
Can I move? So yesterday, like on the tail end of that, I felt like I was doing simultaneously this weekend. I was a little bit in like debris goo cleanup / build more like, and simultaneously. But then yesterday here we had just the way the sun, so a lot of us, we code with the sun, right? Like, where do any of these light points come from the rays of the sun. And the sun yesterday, we had this really intense front come through that was not precipitation, it was wind. And super amazing clouds. And I was bringing my kids to school in the morning, and the clouds were like I posted on Facebook, the Riders on the Storm, like that song just started playing, because it was like, oh, there go the dragons, whoa, there the unicorns go. Like, I'm like, everybody was like mobilizing and like moving out. Like, I was like, all right, guys, you got this. Team Elemental, all the kingdoms. And then midday yesterday, I went out onto my front steps, and the sun, so you see rainbows where, some of the prophecies would talk about the rainbow skies, and like that's happening now. Like, it was clouds, but it was around the sun. There was this rainbow ring around the sun. And sometimes it comes from some of us from pictures, but then sometimes you can actually just see it with your eyes in the sky. Not like a rainbow, like a band of rainbow. People know what I'm talking about, like that iridescent cloud thing. And that was happening big time yesterday. And in my pictures, it was like I had a full cross. I was like, oh, the Easter energy is just open here, and the rainbow. And I think it's okay. I keep scanning, like, is it okay to talk about this? Like, with my inner guidance, but that it came clear. So my father-in-law, my husband's dad, lives in the next town over from Salem, Massachusetts. He lives in Marblehead, and we're going there for the weekend for Easter. And then his birthday is the 5th, and he turns 89, grandpa.
Wow.
Because of like, global whatever's things. He was alone last year, like a lot of people were. So we're like, we're going in, we're going up. So we're going to stay with him, stay nearby him. But so we're going to Salem, which is, I've been working Salem for
how exciting,
long time. But it's not, and I had this whole, I'm sure you get this too, like, maybe I'll put a missive out, or maybe I'll write a blog post about it. But I had this like, like knowing what we're going to do. Like, I work the Rainbow Bridge in Salem. Like, Salem there's a lot of layers of Salem, and we've all probably heard the tales. But really what's going on there now is it's like a meeting ground for magic. It's a rainbow bridge. And the sun told me yesterday, I was like, I kind of just saw what my family's going for and what I'll be doing when I'm there. And I was like, wonderful. Like, it's like Easter egg, rainbow coated. I'll send you some pictures, or I'll post some pictures, because the sidewalks literally are like the crosswalks are rainbow colored, and it's very, and I was thinking too of like, people think of Salem as a place of tragedy or a place of, maligned energy, which that has that layer too. But really right now it's like, but it's a hub. It's this place that attracts like anyone has some pagan witchy wizard qualities, or anybody who plays magic realms.
Yeah.
It's a Mecca place. Like
Oh,
people
wow.
go to Salem to like honor the ancestors who went before, but also to bring their own light codes. And it's right on the ocean.
Beautiful. How exciting. I look forward to photos of that and hearing about that. I agree with you. And so this is what's so interesting is, you think of a place on the planet and you can tune into it, and then you can tune into multiple layers of it. And I want to encourage everybody to do that, because it's funny. There's like blankets of code of, how do I describe this? Of like frequency bands that are held in place by popular thought or mainstream thought forms holding something in place. But then so just to encourage everyone, keep probing more deeply and feel what else is there. Because just like you say, yeah, there's, it does have an aura of what happened, but then there is, so you can feel, just like you said, that there's so much potential. And that's true of so many places. And just want to, for a fun, little psychic like sensation exercises, look at a globe or just think of places and hear the name of the place and see what you get. And you get one thing, go deeper until you can't get any more. Just have fun, because that's another way we can tune into all these different layers of what's to come, what's there, what happened a long time ago, what happened before that. Like before the tragic stuff, there was a lot of magic too. And so there's so many, just, I almost see it like sedimentary rock layers
Well,
of
it's
frequency
interesting.
bands.
It's a gateway to so you know there's an America Stonehenge? Have you heard of that?
I think so, but where? Which one?
It's in New England. It's in New
Okay.
Hampshire, just over the Massachusetts. It's about an hour from here where I live.
Okay.
And it's so Salem is actually one of the hubs. So the America Stonehenge, or it's called Mystery Hill, I prefer
Mm.
to say, because the American Stonehenge is like a
Yeah, it's like this is our own thing.
commercialized, sensation. Like, but it's really cool. It's an astronomical alignment calendar,
Oh,
and it's a mountain. It's a peak. It's not a mountain compared to California terms, but for the New
right,
England,
right.
it's like
Awesome.
1,000
Awesome.
square of miles above sea level. But it's a ancient astronomical alignment site, and so
Oh,
from the visual place, there's standing stones that are aligned to all the major, both cross quarter, the
yeah.
equinox and solstice, cross quarter, the lunar standstill times. And it's
Mhm.
been stewarded by this family. Their last name is Stone, which is
Oh,
so sweet. The Stone family
wow. Yes.
takes care of it. And so it acts like a hub for this region, for the grids. Energetically, it does a lot of things. But
Mm.
this is like why did they pick that spot to put the astronomical calendar, right? It's like it's north of Boston, but it's a hub. But Salem is one of the terminus spots of the hub of America Stonehenge here too. So
I've been reading some articles that they're finding like more mounds, and more like kind of henge type things, and it makes me so excited because I sense that we have those all over the place, and there's just more to be discovered.
yeah, this in January, in one of my Freedom Code leave the house moments, I
Woo!
went to one. So there's a University of Massachusetts is a public school, like the UC systems out there. An astronomy professor built a modern day one on the campus there.
How wonderful.
And I've been reading about it for years and years, but I finally got to go. And I was like,
Oh,
because I had this like, well, it's not going to be as like cool as like the real ones, right? Because it's like modern but I went and I was like, oh, it's like the cool thing is like we can go to ones that had been built, or like we can build them in our own backyards.
that's
We
right.
can build them in our own land. And it was really powerful.
Mm.
And it was so cool to like be part of the new, it's not quite as big as like the monoliths that are at any of the Stonehenges, but and I was laughing at myself because I'm married to a college professor, but I was like, oh, if only professors had built the ancient sites, we'd have plaques. Like it had all the like, this is what this is aligned to, and this is what it's like. It was a teaching thing because it was, I was like, it probably there is like a lot of the stone like carvings. We just haven't learned how to decipher them yet,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's so cool. That makes me think of just like anybody that has a backyard. I wish I did. I don't have a yard right now where we are, but if you want to build a medicine wheel, because when you're talking about the stone circle, the mystery hill, so I was closing my eyes to see it with you, and it's a computer. It's like a compass and a computer. It's a multidimensional computer, galactic computer system and a portal too. And the woman I worked with for many years built her own medicine wheel, and it's a book by Sun Bear. You can like find it on Amazon, and it tells you all about, so it's based on the Lakota Sioux tradition of building the wheel, and there's a creator stone in the center and then a huge circle on the outside, and you do cross quarters, and each stone is a different, season and animal totem and a gem with it, like a stone and an animal totem and a what is it, flower essence. But it's such a trip to work with the creator stone and sit there, and then to go to a different position, or work with things like feel where you're called to go. And it's just interesting because it's such like a quantum computer system. So yeah, that's like a dream project of mine, to build those like with everyone. That would be so nice. So I'm putting it out there. But if you have a yard and you're so inclined to build something that you could, have people come over and play, I highly recommend that, because it's really fun. Just like you say, we can build our own.
It should be in every backyard of every school.
Can you imagine? Oh my
Yeah,
God.
I can't imagine. I'm gonna start with my local one, and then I'll
Yeah.
get on the road.
Yeah. I'll find the book. I'll put it in the description if you guys want to look at this book and see. It's just so nice
Even
how it
like,
breaks it
or
down.
even have the kids. It's fun to have them like build their own and make the new.
Yes. 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 It's
Yeah.
bridging, like you say, light bridging, rainbow light bridging, past and future now,
Can I take a moment to ask you about your new wonderful,
Oh.
amazing thing that I've been seeing you like offer around?
Yeah, thank you. I'm so excited to share this, you guys. This is something that came through with the huge eclipse portal that we had in January of 2020. That whole huge conjunction and everything. So I've developed through my own integration and having these light body upgrade sensations in the body. I've developed what I call Lightbody Prana Yoga, and it's a really special practice. It's kind of a yin and restorative type yoga that's kind of melded with qigong and a lot of flowy movement and breath. We're working with the breath and surfing the breath, and what we're doing is working one area at a time, depending on where we're feeling it that day, tension or tightness, or I call it crunchy. Your neck is crunchy. And so we're working with one section of us, of our beingness, but it's a holographic system where you're seeing the connections to the body symptoms, if you will, like whether it's tension or pain or an injury, or it's a whole system to surf the body and simultaneously look at the past and release old. I know right now it makes you want to move your neck.
Still stretching.
Yeah, we all need to and so how this came about, it's hard to be succinct about this because it's such a big practice, but how
Like
this
yoga teacher can't sit still. We never do.
right? Yeah, we should sit
There's a lot of sitting still for me.
No, I know, you're right. I'm like, oh, my legs are crossed and the cat keeps coming on my lap and then I have to move again. So how this light body prana yoga came was I realized that, oh my gosh, we have to move every day somehow, even if it's just like, I'm going to flow my arms, or I'm going to roll my neck, or I'm feeling better, I'm going to do more rigorous movement, because the codes are coming in, and then you're sensing a log jam energetically in the body where old stuff that needs to be cleared is locked and loaded, crystallized in the tissue. So that's what this is for. It's to help us just completely purify at the physical level through the mind and emotions, and to be clear conduits to receive intel. And the first sequence that ever came through for me was I was working with the back of the heart chakra, because there's a lot of tension there, and I would get consistently, after a lot of stress, get like a kind of a pinching, nerve sensation near the scapula on my right side of the shoulder blade at the back. And I realized, so I'm in there, I'm meaning that I'm bringing my awareness to there and breathing and asking, what is this? And I realized, wow, we have a lot that's held in the back body, and we have a lot of pain and old stuff, old codes, maybe from many lives over back there. So I was working on just releasing and moving the arms in a way that would release the tension out. And then I realized that what was causing the pain was that little blockage was in the way, because my wings were tight and they wanted to,
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, like this is how we can activate our, our angelic DNA and our wings and everything, and increase our wingspan. And so there's a lot of layers, but
I used to teach back when I was teaching yoga more actively, like the base, like the hips, 2 hip corners, or like the basement, like where do you put all your stuff? And then this is the attic. It's like where we store our stuff that we don't want to look at, or that we know, like, oh, I don't need it right now. But
Yeah,
it's like, oh, you got to clean out your attic and your
that's right.
cool.
So
That's so beautiful.
that's coming end
We'll
of
put a
April.
little link. Will you put a link under this where people can find your stuff?
Yeah, Lightbody Prana Yoga coming end of April. So I'll put info on there. So thank you for asking that. Yeah, it's very exciting. What about you? What about
Excitements on my end of some, like we've been, both of us, one of the things we exchange about is that we're both big creators, and we have like all these ideas of things we want to do. And we're like, okay, we have to pick the one that's like the, or the 5 that are the most exciting. So I've had a project, well, not even project, but a thing that I've been hatching 2 years ago, some November in the past. I got this last minute booth filler thing at this amazingly huge expo, the Natural Living Expo around here. And like my friend who was helping run it called, and she's like, someone canceled. I need you to come fill the booth. So I had like a 2-hour notice to like, I was like, yeah, sure. I just packed up like half of inner space and brought it to the booth.
Wow.
Like, huge possibility for, it was like this door opening, and I gave rainbow light body Andara activation sessions for free for anyone that, that came through. And that was awesome. But I got the whole time like, don't you have any for sale? Don't you have any for sale? Don't you have any for sale? Like I could have sold like a booth full of Andaras at that thing. And I was like, I had 2 hours notice, but I didn't have a stock of them. But then I had so much fun at it the first year. I was like bound to go the next year and signed up for it. So right around the time when the Globe was stocking up on toilet paper, I was stocking up on Andaras. So last January, because it was set for November, but I was like, oh, I have to like code them and, work with them for like at least a year, I would say, before I'd send them out, vet them in my own field and like get to know them and activate them and work with them. So I have been for this whole year, like I have a house full, and now a center full. I have like hundreds, maybe thousands. Like I have a lot of Andaras here, and they're all, we've been playing with them and washing them and polishing them and, activating and being with the field. And they're like, all of them are ready, especially at equinox. They're like, all right, get us out in the hands of Gridworkers now. So they've been like, so I haven't, my online shop is open, and new sets and teams, they're forming and they're coming every day. And
Woo!
we'll put a link to that under too, right?
Yeah,
If
please.
anyone wants to
That's where it came from. That's where all
high
this
vibe pieces come your way. I've got some for you to play with.
try to show you. It's hard to get because of the green screen here. There we go. There's those. And then this amazing.
I don't have any of those for sale.
Yeah, these are different, but just
well, it's fun, and as we talk about like New Earth, as we support each other and our friends, like a lot of a lot of my friends have their caches of Andaras that want to go out. So it's like we all work together, and it's like, oh, you might be connecting with. So a lot of times Andaras will come to us in our dream state, in our meditation state, like when we're tuned in and plugged in. Sometimes you'll see the piece, or you'll just feel the color vibe. That's the way it happens for me. It was like, well, the first one I got was dark, like sapphire blue. I was like, I knew I needed one, but it's like, you can't get, well, you can do whatever you want, but it's very valuable to have like lots of different resources to get high quality Andaras, because not everyone has. I don't have one of every color here, and like some people have some from different parts of the earth, and it's nice to have a network of all of us, like just open share, just because like we're all on Team Andara to get the word out there. So it's like, oh, I have my friend in, that already happened for me in one of my Facebook groups. It's like somebody was looking for a certain color that I didn't have, and I was like, oh, I just know who has it. My friend Lois has that for you. Let me send you to her store.
Oh yeah.
Like that's our new, I hate the term newcomers, but whatever the better word for that is.
Yeah.
The new earth, free flow, exchange, possibilities, and goodness.
Yeah, just love it so much. There's just so much. I'm so excited. Yes, congratulations on your store. It's so great. It's so great.
A couple years in the making.
Right?
It's time, right? Every good thing takes a year or two to manifest, right? Yours is similar, right? Last year.
Yeah, it took a lot of integration.
Oh, were they the same time? Did our little like baby? That's cool. I just realized you shared a thing that you started January 2020, and mine was too.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
Really
That's so
cool.
cool.
Now we're
Well,
birthing them for Easter. Woohoo!
so awesome. Well, and then another thing, on this note, I wanted to share this with people, because we're parents, right? We're family people, and then we're way showers, and just to share that real experience of balancing it all, things take time and it's all perfect. And I just wanted to share that because everyone has different lives and journeys and requirements and everything. But we can still do it, but just being patient and trusting the process. And when you're a creative person and you have many things to take care of as a householder, we're the modern mystics, where we balance everything. And just, I wanted to put that out there. The same for you all, is just, it's all good. Balance everything, and the magic, you'll have time to do all the things you want to do. I'm just speaking from personal experience of like wanting to do all the things, and being like so excited. And then like, even just this month, like it was all I could do just to take care of my health and my child and get ready for all the things to come. Just to share that with you all.
And then it has this year, schools are all closed, play dates are canceled. This year's been the most intense parenting year.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah, ever. So
that we manage, we like congratulate each other because we know what it takes as like mama bears to like get something out into the world. It's like, it's okay. It's going to take like 17 times longer than your single self brain might think it would be, but we would do it any differently, right?
No. Yeah, and I just want to like offer that, just like that Andaro light sparkle to all the parents out there, who have been present through this whole thing, just sending you so much light and the sustainability, right? And nourishment. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yay.
Thanks for another great chat, Merissa. It's like always such a pleasure to share space with you, and I'm excited for your things, and I'm excited for my things, and excited for our community's things.
Yeah.
Good times we're in.
Yeah, I agree. Powerful times. Thank you so much, Julie.
I look forward to next month, everybody. Thanks.
Oh boy. Thank you.